And a live look on a sunny day in the capital today, Parliament Hill, with trade talks between Canada and the United States back on track. The countdown is to try and reach a deal by July the 21st. That's the deadline. Of course, that's less than 3 weeks away now. Today, the focus will be on our country's car sector, with Prime Minister Mark Carney meeting with several auto industry CEOs within the last hour or two. Let's bring in David Adams, President and CEO of the Global Automakers of Canada. Hey, David, great to see you again. Thanks for this.
Thanks for having me.
What's the best case scenario here? What do you think?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I think there's two topics that are bound to be on the agenda today. That's obviously the trade discussions in terms of both the short term and the long term of, the agreement for the end of July that the Prime Minister is working towards. And then also the larger context of the renegotiation or review, if you will, of the Canada-U.S. MCA agreement that takes place a year from now. But both those things are linked. And then the other issue that's front and center and somewhat related, actually, is Canada's zero-emission vehicle mandate. The federal government has a mandate, and two of our provinces have a mandate. And the Prime Minister has been often quoted as saying that we need to look at the things that are within our control to make our industry more competitive. And I think that the zero-emission vehicle mandate by the entire industry is viewed as being problematic in terms of the competitiveness of the industry, in that it requires vehicle manufacturers to sell a certain number of zero-emission vehicles targets each year, with severe penalties if they don't meet those targets. And those penalties are monetary with the provinces and criminal with the federal government. And the reality is that it's the consumers that are going to determine the uptake of zero-emission vehicles, not government mandates. So I think this is something that will be a topic of discussion today as well.
Yeah, let me just ask you, I know that eventually the goal was, David, as you're quite familiar, to phase old school cars out entirely and have everybody driving electric vehicles, with some minor exceptions. But, within not that long from now, do you think that this government will now rethink that approach and realize that consumer interest may or may not be there, but also it's tied in now to trade deals? It's not just about the EV situation.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think if you look globally, I think most major countries are still holding to the overall commitment of phasing out internal combustion engine vehicles by 2035. Now, there's maybe some slippage to 2040, but generally, longer out. That's certainly the goal. And I know for our member companies, they're fully committed to that transition to electrified vehicles. So the only challenge we have is time, really, and consumer uptake. And you can take the horse to water, but you can't necessarily make them drink. And I think zero-emission vehicle mandates depend on incentives, which have been phased out to make those vehicles more affordable for consumers, and they also depend on government building out infrastructure. And frankly, at the provincial level and the federal level, we've had woeful experience in terms of building out the infrastructure necessary to give Canadians the confidence that they can charge their electric vehicle wherever they want to, whenever they need to, ideally as quickly as possible. So all these things are tied together, and certainly I think given all of the other pressures the industry is under from a trade perspective, that this is one thing that the government could do to assist the industry and allow it to focus its sole resources on the trade challenges ahead of us.
David, it's always great to see you, and thank you for taking a bit of time today for CTV.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
David Adams, President and CEO of Global Automakers of Canada.